Hi there, welcome to Polkadot Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. So Polkadot, last week we kind of celebrated and it reached the 4.9 high, like basically for most of the year since, well, it's since May we haven't reached that point after it dropped during mid-May. So, however, this week it has fallen back to the support line. I guess let's not be too pessimistic yet. Let's take a quick look and see what's going on. Here, this is the candle we just touched on this for this week, and it seems to have found support on this support line that we've drawn for weeks already. So as of this level at around 3.81, it's combining the volume that we're seeing. It doesn't seem to be too bad because the volume currently is only at around half of what we had last week. So it's not too bad of a sign even we have a little bit of drop. And in terms of Wyckoff, we're still kind of at the backup last point of support stage. You see it's still having this horizontal trading behavior. This platform stage seems hasn't finished yet. So when I say platform, it's something like this. It's trading within a horizontal box most of the times, especially the bodies of the candlesticks. Is it going to come down for a test? The chance, I'm still keeping it at 40%, while towards the horizontal or eventually upside, still 60. Just to quickly check the Bollinger Band and Kona squeeze. So it's still, or it's getting stronger, the squeeze. So if I switch off the lines, you see the purple line has come closer and closer. So the squeeze force hasn't been released yet. So hopefully by the time it gets closer and closer to the tip of the triangle, it finally releases its force and then shoot towards the distribution cycle. That's the wishful thinking, especially you have been a long-term supporter for Polkadot. However, like I said, testing towards the downside is not impossible, especially given we have seen what happened in mid-June, even though we don't want it to go that way, because it's basically saying since the launch of it back in 2020, it is hitting a point where none of the 4 or 5 years trading period has reached until this year. So that's where we doesn't want it to go, like towards the white line over there. So finger crossed, the squeeze is going to bring the price of Polkadot to a new buying climax, and ideally it should challenge the purple key level of 10.3. As of now, it's still within the track that we have been talking about for weeks. So this started back in mid-June, and we're already over 3 months in, and it's still trading above this support trend line. That's the big picture. It basically hasn't changed a lot, even though we've got a week of drop. That seems alarming when just looking at the candle, but the pattern itself hasn't really changed much. This daily chart, so that's what we were talking about. The automatic reaction, it's so deep that it probably, this white cross over here was the AR2, while this was potentially where the upthrust was. And the point right here that we are at, right above the dashed yellow slope, this is definitely another sign of weakness. I'm just thinking, is it going to dip outside of this and eventually accumulate again? But then looking at the chart itself, it is getting back up today above the line, even though there are quite a bit of selling pressure. You see the long wick at the top, right? So it's a small candle. Let's try to enlarge as much as possible. So if you're on a mobile device, you can see this long wick. That means there's quite a bit of selling pushing the price back down. Hopefully the candle can close above the line likewise for the subsequent days, because that's a key support trend over there that the bulls probably don't want to break. And the funny part here is these peaks over here, when I basically relook at it, I'm actually wondering, these LPSYs, were they actually an accumulation cycle? Like I shared many times, that it is kind of tricky to look at Wyckoff in a daily time frame. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We've got these sign of weaknesses and last point of supply, but then if I pull the selling climax across over here, and then automatic rally to this point, and eventually this is like a second test over here, and this period right there is like a backup or last point of support period. I can visualize it that way too. So when it comes to here, this PSY is definite, and then we've got an automatic reaction and a buying climax right over there, and then the upthrust is already there, and it has basically fallen back to a new selling climax potentially. So it might have already started the automatic rally right here. So it's going to accumulate at this level, and then maybe that's when it shoots up to a new distribution cycle in the daily time frame. So it's really tricky to analyze or put in the Wyckoff, applying the Wyckoff method into the daily chart. Well, since I've mentioned about this, why not keep it over there but give them a different color? So let's say these tags over here, I'm going to turn them blue, probably not blue but yellow. Yeah, so it's like a second scenario, and these as well. Yeah. So if this is really the case, instead of these red tags, we are heading towards another we are already in an accumulation, but then probably it's going to finish off and show us a distribution that matches what's going on in the weekly. So it accumulates further along this line and then takes off. So that's the wishful thinking, obviously. The other way it can happen, obviously, I already mentioned in the beginning. So just to quickly recap the big picture, even though this week has a drop, but then it's still above the support line, that trend line over there, the dashed yellow line. And in the daily chart, we can see basically it's still traveling and finding support along that line. Just that looking at the Wyckoff pattern itself, it seems like it might have entered the selling climax or reached the selling climax already for the daily time frame, and it may well start accumulating right now. And just to quickly check the Bollinger Band squeeze for the daily, there's currently no squeeze at the moment, but as time goes on, if it trades very narrow along this line, there's not much room for it to trade actually. If you look at this triangle, it's indeed a narrower range. By the time we get to end of November and early December, if it really continues to trade along this gap, eventually a breakout event will happen. So back to the weekly chart, just to look at a less busy picture. Again, 60% towards the upside, while we are likely currently already in the backup or last one of support period, and 40% chance to fall outside of this support line and back to the test. I just want to lay down a caveat here um, while we are still at this picture. Look at this side right there. So from the sign of strength to the actual climb towards the new distribution cycle, back in 2023, all the way to November, so Feb to November, that 9 months of accumulation, 266 days. Now we are 133 days, so exactly half of what happened back in 2023. I hope that doesn't repeat, but it looks to me there is a chance of that as well. So we hope the distribution cycle to appear earlier, but then looking at what happened back in 2023 after the sign of strength, there's still a chance for it to repeat what happened back then, and the timing is interestingly, like, we're at half of what exactly happened back then. Sorry, I see a question. Oh, that's from the previous session, so that's all right. Yeah, that's all for Polkadot for now, and finger crossed we're not going into another like year-long accumulation. Hopefully that's the case. Thanks for joining. See you in the next session.